We've been battling COVID-19 as a community for really now it's been over 18 months, and the impacts of the virus have manifested itself in a variety of ways, which have impacted every single one of us. And that includes the loss and illness of loved ones, the closing of businesses and jobs lost, disruptions to our education system, really a complete change in the way we live our daily lives. And we could go on. And unfortunately, we're here again today to update our community on another potential challenge caused by COVID, especially the surge that we're experiencing of the unvaccinated. And while this is a new challenge, I know that our community working together, we can overcome it with the help of our residents and our businesses. Statewide, here in our community, our hospitals are experiencing the highest number of unvaccinated, critically ill patients at this point as any other point during the pandemic. Many of these patients require liquid oxygen for their respiratory treatment. This liquid oxygen is a critical part of the care that hospitals are providing to try to fight the deadly disease and to save lives. OUC is our utility provider of water for the City of Orlando and a large part of the surrounding area. OUC is a leader in advanced treatment technology for potable water, and for years, OUC has used liquid oxygen to treat our community's water supply. So nationally and locally, the demand for liquid oxygen is extremely high as the priority is to use it to save lives and treat critically ill patients. As a result of the national healthcare need for liquid oxygen, there are impacts to the supply that OUC normally receives. So what does that mean to us here in Orlando? It means that there could be impacts to our water quality if we don't immediately reduce the amount of water that we need to treat, knowing that we could be facing issues with this limited supply. And that's why we're not waiting until we actually have an emergency for our community. We're trying to get out ahead of this. And the call to action today for every single one of us is clear. Right now we need to conserve water, but we also need to get vaccinated if you have not been vaccinated. On the conservation side, approximately 40% of our potable water usage is for irrigation. So on the conservation side, you can immediately start to help we want to start conservation by asking our residents to temporarily limit the watering of their lawns and washing of their cars. Businesses should also be limiting irrigation and pressure washing. City of Orlando is already doing our part. We are immediately reducing watering at 32 of our city ball fields and every one of our parks that are on the potable water system to an absolute bare minimum. We're also turning off water features at 4 of our parks. At this time, we believe if our community takes these immediate actions, we will be able to mitigate the impacts on our water supply. This is another unfortunate impact of the pandemic continuing to surge in our community, and it's another result of what happens when residents do not get vaccinated and become critically ill and need dire medical support and treatment. So the vaccine is the very best way to protect ourselves from the serious impacts of COVID-19, and these additional impacts and challenges arise from the continuing pandemic. If you haven't gotten vaccinated, now is the time. It takes 30 minutes max to get the vaccine. There's a lot of places throughout the city, our mobile sites, pharmacies, your doctor's office. We are even providing the opportunity to win concert and sporting event tickets at some of our sites, and you can learn more about that at orlandogov.gov/filltheorange. So if you have gotten your shot, I want to say thank you for being part of the solution and moving our community forward, and I ask you to continue helping us and encourage your family and your friends and your neighbors to get vaccinated. So like we always do here in Orlando, whether it's a tragedy like Pulse or a hurricane, we always come together when we're faced with adversity. And I know that we will unite to be part of this effort. Today, we can be part of the solution to protect our healthcare system, protect our water supply, and to protect our entire community. So once again, I'm calling on our community to unite and play an important role in this response. With that, I would like to introduce OUC's Linda Ferroni, who's the Chief Customer and Marketing Officer, who has more technical details to provide you with. Linda?
You know, since the 1990s, OUC has used ozone generation in the treatment of our water. Liquid oxygen is what is used specifically in that process. And what this does for our water is it eliminates some of the things that are found naturally in Florida's water, which is an unpleasant smell, a slight discoloration, and it gives us our great award-winning water that we have here. So we normally go through about 10 supply trucks a week of liquid oxygen. And this has been reduced for the reasons that Mayor Dyer stated. It's needed by our medical facilities for the treatment of COVID patients because it's found to be so effective. It is it's slightly new treatment that those medical facilities are using, so they're using more than they were using earlier in the pandemic. So as hospitalizations have continued to rise, the use of liquid oxygen has continued to rise. And therefore our supplies have been impacted. So as the mayor so well put, if we can have everyone come together and help us out with using less water, we hopefully can avoid any impacts to our water quality. However, should worse come to worse, we would get to the point that we would need to be looking at a boil water alert. But again, our goal is to alleviate the need for that. So what we're asking for is for people to temporarily suspend the use of water for irrigation, for pressure washing, for washing vehicles. We're asking our commercial customers to join forces too, to do the same. Again, irrigation, fleet vehicle washing, pressure washing, those sorts of things. So the less water that all of us can use, the less demand there is for liquid oxygen, and the less impact that we will have to our water supply. For those customers that use reclaimed water, this is actually not an issue. Reclaimed water does not go through our ozonation process, so it's unaffected. We realize that this is drastic, that what we're asking for, and it's dramatic. It's unprecedented, but we also realize that time is now to act so that we can eliminate the need for our water quality to be impacted. Our priority has to be on our healthcare system. It has to be on the health of our community and those people that are impacted. So OUC customers should be prepared to take these actions for at least several weeks, and we'll continue to evaluate the situation as we make our way through those several weeks. Additional information on water conservation, which we are always working on at OUC and at the City of Orlando, because water is our most precious resource here in Central Florida, but you can find more information about this situation and water conservation at www.ouc.com or www.ouc.com/waterinfo. Thank you.